everything open.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Hello. We are live.
This time on time.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Oh
Hello,
my
Phantom Pen
goodness.
Pendulum.
So both
Yes.
of us today, the two of us, we miss Alexandra, but now we are in a different account. Marina saying
Uh,
thank you for having me in
it's
your YouTube.
coming.
Yes. We need to make the community to learn about our YouTube accounts.
hmm
and
Yeah, if someone was not here last time, we're switching around. So it's desk chatter. So three of us. But we're switching around, from now and then we will have a season of desk chatter on each channel, so we will take turns. And so this is basically us warming up and
yeah,
learning the ropes.
learning and warming up about how to manage the the streaming service.
There you go. And also, if someone ever wanted to see Kari and I in the same stream, so that's your opportunity.
And that's nice. So what do we have now? We are planning to talk about journaling,
Right.
and maybe we can leave the comments out there for the people that want to know anything. Maybe they can ask questions or anything.
Well, first and foremost, I've invited Kari not only because she's lovely and she's my co-host, but also because she's pretty much a queen of journaling.
The queen of nothing, because some people, they journal and they have this aesthetic, so beautiful and neat in all the journals. I experiment so hard in all the journals, in different medias and in different formats. I just go crazy.
That's good. I mean, that's what you need. You need to have fun, with it. So that's why you're here, to have fun.
That's so cool. So
And show us how to have fun.
let me ask you a question before we start.
Sure.
And we do journals. I want to know. You told me that you did journaling before. Do you keep a journal at the moment? Are you journaling or writing or notebook keeping? Anything that is daily practice or something?
hmm So my early journals are in my parents' house, so I don't have them here. But I think I was pretty young, maybe like 10 or something. Like my mom told me to journal because it was like a big part of her own life. She was taught to journal for herself. And so I started doing that. It was not great. I was bored with myself. It was like as a kid and then teenager, I think I dropped doing it around the age of 15 or 16. So my parents still have those half finished journals, but
Oh,
I used to cut out things that I liked from like teen magazines and like glue them, and like talk about my day and like what I saw and my friends and my school and stuff like that. And then I stopped, and then and then I kind of, now as a grown up, I picked it up again as just a means to, some of I've traveled a lot, I've lived in different places. So sometimes you have to kind of to put your mind to quiet, especially before bed. If your mind races like mine does and thanks to think about things that happen throughout the day, I've learned that just putting them on the paper helps a lot. Yeah.
yeah.
So what I do now, I don't have anything fancy, but I will show you my weird ways of journaling. So there are three things that I do. My three things are just this simple little Leuchtturm journal.
Oh, yes, I like that.
And I'll tell you why I like this one. This is super simple for me. I just do this a day. If I have a lot to say, I do 2 days. And then I love that at the end it has a little pocket.
I appreciate a good pocket.
Yeah. So I can keep just, my cards, someone else's cards in here. And then I also keep these little handy watercolor, you know,
Oh,
pieces.
that's so cool.
And so sometimes you don't really want to talk a lot, but you want to sketch. And so
Oh,
on my walk, one of the neighbors in our hills, so I'm in San Francisco area. And so we have these beautiful hills, and you walk, and one of our neighbors had like free lemons because the lemons are in season now.
oh,
And I picked up, and it's just fun, you know, it's pretty. So I sketched it, and then I just had like a little note for myself that I did with my fountain pen. And, you know, this is good enough for me.
that's so fantastic. And it's like urban sketching. I always say urban sketching doesn't have to be outside on the street, it can be at home with your urban setting at home.
Yeah. Yeah,
Very nice.
absolutely. And I would say I'm going a little bit more minimalist, maybe, which is absolutely fine. Or, you know, a little bit like I can fit this notebook in my small purse. And it's different from what I used to do back in the day. I don't bore myself as much anymore. That's also good. But you can do whatever you want to do. It can be scraps of papers, you know, just go with it. And you know, I just want to encourage everyone to do it. My style is very different that I imagine your style is, and we're gonna dive into that.
I I like William's comment. Oh, thank you for highlighting that. Yes. Hello,
Oh,
the people, to all the people that connected.
I think William could not resist both of us because we're his favorites. So you know, he is.
Very nice. You say you're going to the minimalist path. I am completely the opposite. I am the maximalist at heart. And I work as a teacher, so I need a lot of space for writing, space for notes, space for reminders. And I am super analog in all the things that I have. Even though at school I do actually own a digital planner, I still have lots of notes and lots of to-do lists and deadlines that I write on paper because I am visual. I need to see on paper, and when I do the writing, I keep all those ones there. Um, I was never a type of person that will have like only the writing. I like to at least have decorations. I used to doodles. I used to have a more like intricate drawings in my journals, but now I have it separate. I have stickers and in my productivity planner, and then I have drawing in a good paper sketchbook. So I separate it all. Um, do you want to see some of those ones?
I was about to ask, is there, what is it that you've seen yourself kind of progress and change? Is there some kind of books that you've liked, sketchbooks you liked, and journals you liked in the past, and now you see a change?
Yeah.
Could you show us your
I
progression?
Yes, for the writing aspect and the planning aspect, I've been attached to Leuchtturm since
Right.
2016. I
There we
used to
go.
journal before. My first diary was at 15 years old.
Mm,
So since that date until now, I never stopped writing
right, right.
and
So
keeping
when
a
I
journal.
stopped, you started.
So I started at 15, and this was one of my. I used to do with friends. We used to have collecting uh, uh, letter papers. Like the ones with Hello Kitty and Sailor Moon. So we used to exchange letter paper, and I was like, okay, I am not writing enough letters. So what I did, it was to glue those papers on the page, because before you didn't have those nice journals.
Right.
And so I used to do like a collage with those papers and write inside.
Think I
So
remember with those different sizes. There were
yeah,
like
they were like
smaller, bigger.
tiny.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember those. I had those too.
Oh my goodness, it was such a fun hobby to do. And when I got my quinceañera party, like you have your 15 years old and everybody goes to your house and everybody's celebrating. This friend that used to exchange papers with me, she gave me the most beautiful diary that had it was like not leather but a fabric bounded cover, and inside there was like a cover page that will say my name is, and I'm going to keep this diary for starting today, like it was kind of a guided diary. So I started writing there. Oh, listen to this. I used to belong to a poetry club.
Oh, how was that?
That's the nerd in myself. My mom sent us to that poetry club. So I used to write poetry in my diary. So it was like copying poetries in order to learn them and then to recite them when we go to the club. And then I started writing my own poetry and then move on to I want to write my day. I want to write my emotions, my reflections. So it was mainly writing, and then it transitioned to art.
Mm.
So I started putting doodles, I started putting pictures, trying to do paint and stuff. So from there and on, it progressed to what it is right now, which is still a mess.
Now
Anyway,
show us some of your wonderful,
okay,
beautiful
I
mess.
will guide you through the day how it works because I have my morning pages and I have my end of the day pages. So I start my morning with this notebook, which is a regular notebook, and you will see lots of writing here. Let me
That's
take
moisture
that.
as well, right?
Yes, you see?
Ooh.
So this is one page in the morning, and I have like a little introduction that is a gratitude. I cannot show you though what is,
All right.
but let's say, uh, let me show you one that doesn't have on the other side. All right. So there is a morning
Mm-hmm.
and there is the end of the day, what it happened at the end of the day. And that's kind of a memory keeping. And I do this one because this notebook actually I write about the family and the things, the events that happen around my family. So that's what I have in this journal. In the same family, I write in this other one. This one I update some once in a while. This is a 5-year journal.
Mm.
And I write like a little bit what I wrote in there in a big picture. I write a little bit in the day. So you're going to see this one started in 2022 and now we are in 2025. So that one, those two, I do in the morning.
How do you like the 5 year one? Because I've seen those around. I know people either love them or hate them just because it's such a long one,
Yeah.
right?
Actually, I like it because at the level of family keeping, memory keeping for the family events, I find it really amazing when you write there. We celebrated this birthday. My kids, they got a passing grade in their exam. Like you like to write those things, and I find that journal not for my stuff such an important journal, but for my family
Mm-hmm.
family memory keeping.
Mm-hmm.
That's so great. So for that, I love that. And then I have this one is my planner.
Mm-hmm. Is that the bullet or
That's a bullet journal.
yeah?
So there are some stuff here that I have divided between the school planner, which I keep at school in the digital format, and then I have here for the dailies. So you're going to see, for example, the traditional cover page, and this one is kind of decorated with. Let me do a flip through. Do you see there?
Mm-hmm. So you use a lot of stickers. You use Amphora.
Yes, I write my goal setting. What do I want to achieve in the month and everything here. Oops, I have some dividers here that I need to remove. Give me a second. I want to show you these ones I posted before in Instagram if the people want to see. I want to show you the current month so you can see, for example, how it starts. It starts with the cover page and then it transitions to the goal setting and the calendar. So I have some of the appointments and schedule that I have over here. Sorry, I have some Korean practice. I'm learning Korean now.
Nice.
Goal setting on this side for the month, and then I have my dailies with my schedule, and I write the day and the things that I need to do in the day. Normally, I don't write much because this one is about the school. So I have like, okay, I need to do this, and
Mhm.
that. And if I connect to the podcast, I will write it here.
We're in there.
Okay, this is more like a creative journal. It's also a 1979 agenda. The paper is fantastic for fountain pen. I keep my gratitude log here on one side, the gratitude, and on the other side, I keep quotes, inspirational quotes. So this is a project that I've been keeping in my bullet journal for years, but I decided to keep it in a separate notebook because I want to be more mindful about going back and read these ones later. Because if they are in the middle of the agenda, in the middle of the planner, they end up forgotten. And
Mm.
I will never go back to this one, and I will never see all the things, the little things that I have to be grateful for. Sometimes you're under this cloud of storm and you feel like, oh my God, everything is going bad. And it, when it rains, it pours, like you get
Yeah.
in this depressive mode. And then I open this one and I write, today I'm grateful that I had a delicious food, or uh, somebody opened the door for me and hold the door for me. Just the smallest things.
And
And it
now
makes
I
you
have a question for you for this last one. So first of all, where did you find it? So it's from 1979. So I imagine it was thrifted or
yeah,
just.
thrifted. I go to garage sales. I go to antique stores. It was actually an antique store. I got it in one town that is closer to mine in the Ontario side. So I am in Quebec, in the province of Quebec. And I am really close to the border of Ontario. So we drove one day to the other side of the border. And then we went to a restaurant. We were like with a family trip. And there was an antique store, and I found it there.
Mhm.
And this
And
one,
just kind of my thoughts are 60s, 70s, people use fountain pens still. But I feel
exactly,
like a
still
lot more.
fountain
And so
pen.
the paper was so much more friendlier for fountain pens. So if
Yeah,
you find them, go for it.
exactly. And then there is something that I like about vintage paper. It's not about it's fountain pen friendly. It's about reusing, refurbishing stuff.
Also, yeah.
Um, it cost me $2.
Yeah, compared to what 1820
You know
was.
the Leuchtturm, which is more expensive,
Yeah.
and then you have $2 this one, and still amazing paper. So it makes me happy.
Yeah.
Really.
And my next
Makes me
question
happy.
is, so for this journal, do you use it every day or is it as needed? So you feel
Actually,
like.
no, I keep a frequency. So that one I will actually write it down in the middle of the day if I can. If not, at the end of the day. That's kind of a more calming stage. And if there are 2 or 3 days that pass by and I didn't write anything, I will go back and I will trace down my memories on that day, and I will say, "Oh yeah, I'm grateful for that day." You know.
Nice.
So it's about gratitude. It's about being uh, grateful of the little things that happened to you that day. Um, it opens up the door also to not to be too negative every time. You want to be positive, but sometimes it's so hard that you cannot see the
Mhm.
light. You cannot see how good things went. So that journal helped me to bring my feet on the ground and say, listen, I received so many blessings I need to be grateful for, instead of complaining about one thing.
Which we all can find something to complain about.
Of course, so many things to complain.
So many things can go wrong personally or globally or, whatever.
Oh, that's the topic of the season.
Right. I feel like there's a lot of kind of easier to find negative than positive sometimes, as you
Exactly.
alluded.
And I struggle sometimes finding positive in the negative. And even though I it seems like I'm a happy person, and sometimes no, like you have difficulties. Work is difficult. I teach students in the gap age between 17 and 20, so they are young adults, and it's really hard sometimes in the development of personality deal with this type of students, because they will be stressed out, they will have anxiety, and also, the bully ones, they will bully you, and you receive, and you cannot say anything, and then sometimes you react like
Mm,
that, and then suddenly, what a bad teacher, and then everything goes on your shoulders. So
yeah.
I find a very challenging time to teach during these times.
Yeah. But I think, just in general, we don't appreciate teachers enough. I feel like up until some time in our life, I don't know about you, but for me, I think I was older, maybe in university, when I was like, oh, these people really helped me, the time that I didn't know who I was as a teenager. You don't
Mhm.
really know yourself that well. Someone to guide you like you do. So that's important.
Yeah. If I can help one student out of all the students that I have every semester, I will do my job well. I feel like I did my job well. That's what I think.
You are great, I'm sure.
Okay, this one, it's a big one, but this one is the poetry one, because
Ooh.
you don't go far away from the roots.
Yeah, there you go. From your club.
So this one have actually some of my students' poems, and I use the format of collage, and you will see here. This one is actually mine, my
Mhm.
own. I wrote that. And then I have like other poems. So this one is basically, I call it a handwriting practice. So I have a reading, because when you read poetry and you write the poetry, it's considered reading and
Mm.
writing.
Mhm.
And at the same time, because I want to make it beautiful, I do it with a handwriting practice. So I try my best to make it beautiful, to create like, and I keep track of the inks that I use and the fountain
Mhm.
pen that I use. So this one is something that I like about the handwriting practice, is that I can combine this love for poetry, my own writing, and the use of the fountain pen and the
And
inks.
our obsession with fountain pens.
The obsession. This is another one of mine. People will pause the video to read. They are like I imagine my poetry. It's like, those days when you're most depressed is when you get more inspiration.
Right. You have kind of a
So
way
it's
to
kind of like
stop
when you
and
feel the
pause.
blues, and you're like so sad
Right.
and upset, that you get the writing, and the
Emotion.
writing flows. Anyway,
Well, hello. Hi, he's our viewer.
yes, some people are connecting.
Constant Ewer. Hello. We were just talking about
Yes.
journaling practices and Kari's a lot of different things she does at the same time.
When do you do it?
When do you do it? So here's a question. I've noticed that you also, sketch sometimes. Sometimes you don't. So I would imagine it's similar. Sometimes you have this stroke of inspiration, and sometimes it's just.
Just collage and stickers, and
Mhm.
that's it. That's me.
Nothing wrong
That's
with
my
that.
journaling. So every night I try to do something. And sometimes in the night I will copy one poem, sometimes I will do a drawing. And sometimes when I'm super, super inspired to draw and to create art, I will have three journals and I will use the same kind of colors in the three. And I will show you now how I do it. And
Mhm.
I will try the same technique in three different journals, different papers with the same ink or the same colors that I'm using. And because the dry time of the paint takes a little bit longer, I need to
Mhm.
work in different pages and then wait and then continue with the second part. So I will show you after.
All
And
right.
actually, this one is one of those ones. This one, I like the vintage look.
Ooh, I think I have one of those somewhere too. Yeah.
Uh, this one is for quotes and for scrapbooking practice.
Bring
So,
bring it here.
yes.
And so
So,
you work with cutouts that gives a bit of a dimension there, right?
yes. So, these ones are kind of collages that I've done with stickers, and they are like layers and layers and layers of washi and stickers and stamps. This one is a mix of ink. You're going to see that the blue ink is the base. I did some not sticker, but this one I glue on top of the thing. I did calligraphy with the white calligraphy pen, and then all that glitter that you see over there, that's nail polish.
Ooh, you got really creative.
Anyways, this one also has some ink on the side, some stickers, and some writing. So this one I like to explore. I always say the exploration looks great. This one at the back has ink, and
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you can actually see they were lines.
Mm.
So I did lines, and then I put water on top. So I started exploring with those colors. Let me show you the.
Much more inventive than I am. So we've gotten a question for you. So
Ooh,
what pens do you use to get that line variation?
for the calligraphy.
Yeah.
I use like a calligraphy pen. Let me go find it.
All right, you guys, ask more questions. This is very exciting. Kari's style is so different from me.
Uh, I changed the nib. I have so many calligraphy holders, but the one that I used for that specific one was this one.
Mhm.
And the nib, I don't know if you can see, it's a steel nib. Oh, I don't know.
Mhm. All right. So do you
Yeah,
use
and then when you press, it actually opens, so it flexes a little bit.
kakimoris at all, or do you use regular fountain pens?
Well, I do have my kakimori nib,
Mm-hmm.
and I have other. These are all the calligraphy tools that I
Ooh.
have. So I try to have each one of the nibs that I like the most in different holders because I want to have everything handy and I don't need to have the need to remove one and put the other one, remove and put. So I have this one, which is super, super thick for some of the projects that I have. Then this one I use a lot for swatches.
Mm-hmm.
I like the regular traditional. Where is it? Oblique,
Ooh. Yeah.
and then I have stabs and the kakimori.
Ooh. Nice.
I love it. And then I have these vintage ones that I got at the DC Pen show. and
And
they all
that's the handle is paper, right?
yeah, paper.
Awesome. Yeah, they used to have those as like I think one and done or something.
Mhm.
They were not meant to be used for a long term, but I love them and they're
No,
so sturdy.
I love them. And you know what I do? I am super careful, and I don't dip all the way down. I just dip the tip, and then if I need to redip again, I will do it. So I want to keep those ones forever.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, somehow, I found that the way it was thought through and the way a lot of things were done in the past, that's what I admire. It's like very careful with a lot of artistry, and actually something that was not meant to last for a long time ends up lasting for a very long time compared to, some things that are made nowadays. That's what I appreciate.
Yeah.
Good
So
stuff.
I want to show you the project that I did.
All right.
So there was this blue ink. I'm talking about only the blue side. And I know that there is the other side. So this blue side is ink. It was just a little drop left that I had in an ink sample.
Mhm.
And it was on inks 8 o'clock or something o'clock. It was something like that. So I use with a big brush, which is this one.
Mhm.
I went and I put water. So this one is not the ink alone. This is water, and I went with the ink on top. So it's diluted.
Mhm.
It's not like the full color of the ink. This one is a regular watercolor paper. Then I did the same with this page with the same color of ink, but this is
It looks like
onion
onion
skin,
paper.
onion skin paper.
Yeah.
And I did the same in this notebook.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
the three notebooks at the same time with the same technique. Boom, grab. And I want to show you the difference between the papers. So in one paper, you have these little kind of dots of drops that
Mhm.
the paper created. On this one, you're going to see the shading of the ink,
Mhm.
which
And it's
happens.
also, the color of the paper is also,
Exactly. It
natural.
influences to the color. In this one, you can see the shading that it goes in the
Yeah.
yellows. I don't know if
Yeah.
you see.
Oh
So
yeah.
every paper quality, and the one that is true to the color is the watercolor paper. I always say you see the shading, you see the 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 grading of the color and everything over there.
Yeah.
And what I did is in this one, I did a doodle with silver ink.
Nice.
In this one, I did a doodle with fountain pens, a food and Eve actually. It's
Mm.
a winter theme. And then the one that I showed you before, which is just the collage and the nail polish.
That's amazing. There you go. You got a compliment from William as well.
Ah, thank you. So these artistic notebooks, I work in line. So when I prepare the material, so let's say, for example, I have a couple of inks and I have the water ready and I have the watercolor ready.
Mm.
And
Yay.
this is Marina, by the way.
Yeah, that's by me. I made those.
And actually, I mix up also some of the watercolors that I bought from Marina and other ones that I bought from Alexandra over
Nice.
here. So if I have everything on display easy, I open the three notebooks and I do the work in line. So I start with one, and then while that one is drying, I will do the other one, and then I will go back to the first one and I say, oh, what does it look like? And then I say, oh, it looks like snow. Let's do
Hmm.
the winter.
That's creative. I feel like that's just the way it goes. That's how I feel about, if someone doesn't know, I work with porcelain.
Oh,
That's how I feel about porcelain sometimes. It's very expensive. I don't want to waste it, but sometimes the clay guides you.
yeah.
So it's very similar to that.
I want to show you something that some people say, oh, I don't have money. to buy notebooks. What can I do? So I bought paper, um, and I started a project which is my fantasy map project, which is this one. And this one is a handmade notebook. So I bought the paper and I folded it and I put staples, sorry, on the side. And you get a notebook with different sorts of paper. It looks vintage like the other one, but you don't spend the money that you spend with
That's
it.
right. Sometimes you get
Right.
samples for free. I, for example, buy a lot of stuff and I get free paper sometimes as a
Yeah.
sample. Or, as you said, you can just find different papers that you want to use and just staple
Yeah.
them together.
This is more like a Lords of the Rings.
Ooh.
And this one also have creative writing. So creative writing, I do a lot because I like to create backup stories for the D&D characters, Dungeons and Dragons
There you
characters that
go.
I
We didn't
have.
know that about you. So you play
I
D&D.
am nerd at heart. So even
There you
though I
go.
don't look nerd, I do look nerd and I am nerd. And
Now the
I'm proud to be
question.
nerd.
Are you just a character or do you now also lead campaigns?
No, I don't lead campaigns.
Okay.
I create the characters. I We started a campaign with the family, and during COVID, and we followed the campaign for a while, and then they forgot about the campaign. So we are kind of in the process of getting back the members together. But I continue writing, so some of the adventures are going here in the case I need to lead a campaign at one point. So
There you go.
this is my I am going to do that. So this is more D&D. I have another one similar to this one, but all the character design with other type of writing over there. And I have my Wonder Woman project, that, which is, I started during COVID, and then I continue with that one for a while. I have I started now in the same journal I did Harley Quinn, so I am kind of transitioning to other characters.
Mm-hmm. You
Uh,
like the strong women, female characters? I do
yeah, I
that.
like that. I really, really like that. And I have this little urban sketching notebook. This one is more artistic, and I try my best. This is Yoseka.
Mm.
This is Atlas Stationers.
Now, important question when it comes to urban sketching. Do you tend to stay and just sketch out? When you're in front of the store, you just take a picture and do it
I
at
take
home.
the picture. So
Mm-hmm.
I take the picture, and then whenever I have time, which is at night, I do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's impossible to bring all the materials that you have, and I don't have the capacity, I will say, yet to develop this. Oh, I am going and I'm going to do the drawing right away. I find it easier for me to enjoy my trip, to go out and visit and continue walking and take pictures. And then when I'm home, I select, oh, this one I will draw.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I am not there yet. This is another
I've done
story.
both. And depending on where you are. So I've done that a lot. If people don't know, I've lived in Rome for many years. And I used to just sit down on the street, like not too far from Vatican and just sketch Ponte Sant'Angelo, the Angel's Bridge and stuff like that.
Ooh.
And the one thing that I found to be extremely, extremely destructive for me is when people come by and comment on that.
Yeah,
Want
they
to
want to
see
see
what
what
you're
you're
doing.
doing.
So from that point of view, I totally understand you. It's like for me,
Yeah.
it's not even the supplies, but
But
just
I do sit at the
attention.
cafe. Uh, if I go, for example, on a trip and I have to sit at the cafe, I will sit, I will open the journal, and sometimes I will do the sketch.
Right.
But I need a table. I need to be comfortable with
Mhm.
a glass of water, with coffee.
Yeah, no, I totally think that's good point that we get here is like when traveling it's easier to photograph, especially when you're trying to see
Yeah,
everything. I do agree with that. I think
I do agree too.
the other point is what you said that in a cafe setting it is a little different. I feel like,
Yeah.
sketch in that setting, everyone's busy, and
Mm.
so you're
Yeah,
left to your own device there, which
but
is easier.
Marina, how inspiring is to sit in Rome
It
and
is.
sketch?
It was the best,
The dream
the
of
best
the
time.
artist.
Yeah, I took my art classes there too, and so we had my art. One of my art classes was called the Sketchbook of Rome. So we had this artist bring us around the different sites. So we would take a tour. It would be like once a week, I think. So we would come in a monument. He would like have a clearance for us to go specific places of Vatican, for example, or Capitoline museums and see the original, she wolf statue or something like that. And so we would go around and we take everything in. He would tell us also art history type of stories, of whatever is relevant for what we're doing that day. And then we had this amount of time after to just sketch, and then we would come back some other time depending, on our personal schedules, and continue and finish sketching. And I think that was just, I think for me personally, that was when I came back to journaling as well, because I
Oh,
realized what it
fantastic.
does for my mental health. I studied, pretty intense topics. I was in international affairs, diplomacy student. And so we had to do a lot of human rights and law classes and a lot of stuff that was, it just consumes you. There's a lot of thinking involved. There's a lot of um, things that, you just need a break from.
Yeah.
So that was the moment
William,
for me when I realized this is making me, come back to myself. So yeah,
and ground yourself.
there you go. Yeah.
There you go. William is asking uh, if you do drawings, sketching, and paint as well.
Oh, well, that was to Arc Boy, which I think he's an architect. So I suspect he definitely does something of that sort. Maybe sketch.
That's fantastic.
So,
Yeah, I
yeah,
like
I
I
have
like the
another
idea of the
question.
urban sketching being so liberating. I find that just using a couple of tools, you don't need much for urban sketching. You need a wash of color if you want, and
Mhm.
then you have a fountain pen and you're done. You can create such an incredible setting. I like, for example, this one is in Montreal.
Oh, nice. Nice, nice, nice.
Actually,
And
this one.
that's the beautiful part of it. I feel like for watercolor that or ink drawing, that feeling
Yeah,
that something is unfinished and you're leaving that way, but
yeah,
at the same time it's finished for you. And
it
then you
is.
can imagine more on top of it if you want.
Exactly. So William says, yes, I am an architectural designer.
Oh, that's so they have their little conversation, which I love seeing people just talking about this.
Yeah, I think architecture, design, and drawing houses and buildings and facades and loose sketching sometimes, but at the same time, not so loose.
Hmm.
I like the the structural drawings. I
Yeah.
I prefer that over botanicals, and I like drawing botanicals, and I like nature drawings. But I find that if there is a house or if there is, uh, I don't know, people living over there, like in the middle of the country, and you have that little house, I love those type of drawings.
There's something beautiful in just the
Yeah.
architectural stuff. Absolutely. We sketch with intent.
Yes, we sketch with intent. And for the people that love ink and fountain pens, and you know that I have my albums of inks and stuff, I I started one that actually have ink splatters, is to see the quality of the ink on paper. I want to show you that one because
All right.
that one is for the non-artist.
Oh, there you go, William.
William, you need this.
He's the one who doesn't do, he thinks he doesn't do art, but maybe he
Come
does.
on. Okay, so let me show you the simplicity. You do an ink splatter, and then you write what ink you have, and then on top, you glue something.
Something you find in the magazine or
If you want to glue,
whatever.
you go with the ink, time, and then you glue something on top.
I've seen people do that with, like their cutout of the favorite fountain pen, for example, they want.
Yeah. If
So,
you want birds, for example, you have the ink as a background,
yeah.
and then it's just an ink splatter. How do you do an ink splatter? It's super simple. You get a piece of plastic or Ziploc bag, and then you put 2 drops of ink, no more than 2, because otherwise, if you put 3, it's going to go all over. 2 drops of ink, and then you like tam 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 on top. Let it dry. Done.
Done. The art.
The arts with the ink. Beginner's at work.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
I like this format because these are the last inks that I swatch with my Harry Potter collection. So that's the Diamond Dragon Blood. And you can see the beautiful ink. This one is the Diamond Golden Sands. You see the shimmers, you see the shading. I like it. And it looks messy, but yet it looks artsy.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your fountain pen usage. So,
Ooh.
how many do you have inked up, and how many do you use in your daily routine for journaling?
Oh my goodness. So at school, I bring about 10 pens that have ink to school in order to do the writing and correcting. And I don't bring any ink. So I run out of ink during the day. Just if I need to correct one course, I will run out of ink of 3 of those pens right away. If I need to do more work, it will run out really, really fast. Then plus the writing, and I like to have some pens inked up in order to do some of those drops. When I'm doing the ink splatter, I just drop the ink directly from the fountain pen. So I find that the fountain pen is my ink sample carrier. And the number, you want to ask the number. This is my fountain pen journal.
All right.
Are you ready?
Okay. Well, how many did you have with you today?
Oh, I put 5 pens there.
Okay,
But
that's doable.
that's doable. I have more inked up. I'm not going to give you the number yet, but you need to wait. So the pens that I have today are a mix of Delta, Mayora, and Nettuno. So they are all from the same maker, but one is vintage, which is this one.
Ooh.
It's a Delta. It's not La Dolce Vita, but it's a 365 pen.
So that is not a orange, but that's a yellow, right?
It's kind of a yellow orange. It's a mix. This one is a gold nib, and it's kind of flexy. So when you're writing, it flexes a little bit. So I have a similar nib in my Nettuno. This one is the Nettuno limited edition. This one is this a God of the Sea.
So both of those are from the
Nino
time
Marino.
Is that before he resurrected the company, or
This one is after he
after?
resurrected.
But the Delta was the old
Before.
one. Does it have a little heart? Yay, hearts. In the nib, the cutout. That's what.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a sure
Yeah.
sign. Nice. That's a good one.
Okay. So those two. Then I have 2 Mayoras. Actually, I have another Nettuno here. This one was the anniversary of the first Nettuno. This one is the 1911. So the first Nettuno that used to look like this was created in 1911. So this was the anniversary pen
Nice.
that they did. This one has a steel nib, and this one is the pen that I use the most.
It's
So
that good.
now it has purple because I just put ink on it and I didn't finish cleaning. I will clean after, so don't judge. Don't judge.
But you didn't tell us what nibs are
Oh,
in.
it's a medium nib steel,
Mhm.
made of steel. This one is a medium. It doesn't flex. It's a true medium steel nib.
My collection is slam dunk compared to Kari.
Guys, the people don't know, but I've been collecting fountain pens all my life.
Yeah.
So my first fountain pen were my father's fountain pen, and I bought pens since I don't know. I never stopped using fountain pens since elementary school because in my country we need to write with fountain pens still.
Nice. Yeah.
So that's the time that I have fountain pens. I started collecting officially more expensive ones in 2008. So you count the years, and if you get a pen a year, you already have a big collection. Anyways, I have more than that. I bought. I probably have a pen a month. Don't judge.
Now we see Delta mentioned. How many Deltas do you have? Do you
I
know?
have only one Delta,
Just that one?
just that one. But I do have the other ones, which are this one is like the Mito, which was when he recovered the company. You know, he was fighting over the Delta name.
Mm-hmm.
He did the Mito Origine, which is made of silver. So all the trims is made of silver. This one is the one that he created in homage of La Dolce Vita Delta. So this one is the one that I got. Actually, when he said this is the homage to La Dolce Vita, and I couldn't get a Dolce Vita because it was so expensive, I got this one,
Right.
which is expensive, but it's less expensive than the other
Yeah.
one.
Then the
This one has,
original.
exactly. This one has a steel nib, but it's a flexi nib. And I call it flexi because it flexes a little bit, but steel nibs, they don't flex too much like vintage ones. This one flexes enough. So it's
This Yovo homage to Flexinib.
exactly, it's Jovo. And last one, this one is the Mayora Aventus. This one is Perla.
It's the same resin, I think, as Esterbrook, right?
This one actually was 2 years before the Esterbrook came out. So this resin was released.
Well, this is a question to both of us. So, do you find major brand pans and nips to be better and more consistent than the maker-made pens?
Depending.
Yeah,
I have most of my pen maker's pen. I have a mix of Bock nibs and Yovo nibs. Bock works the best for the maker's pen. I put shimmer in all of those ones. I go back to those pens, I don't know, probably a week after or 2 weeks after, still running clear without any skipping. And then brand makers that they use Yovo nibs, sometimes they are in and out, like I have to sometimes floss the nib. I tune my own nibs. I will do some work on them more than the Bock nibs. I do work in all my pens though.
Yeah, my personal experiences, I also think it depends. I have not really noticed that much of a uh, better, I guess, Bach versus Jovo. I think they're different.
Hmm.
I honestly, I've noticed a difference between oddly where the maker gets which continent they get their stuff from. Weirdly, maybe that's a coincidence. I might
Hmm.
need to explore that more. But I'm currently a big fan of Yovo Nibs, that the Black Robin pens.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
the
I
best
agree.
tuned nibs. I don't know where she's in the UK, so I'm assuming she's getting them from a UK distributor, possibly.
Mhm.
But those Yovos are the best tuned out of all maker ones.
Yeah.
Um,
I never had many issues, to be honest. I was so lucky with most of the pen that I own, and I own pens from the cheapest brands. From we were talking about that in the last this chatter. I have a collection of Jinghao pens that work fantastically well. I have pen makers pen. I have preppy pens. I have
yeah.
varsity pens. I have all sorts of fountain pen that work really, really, really well. No issues with any of those pens. But if I get skipping in the pen, because sometimes, like you forget the pen, you forgot to clean it, I will work on the pen and I will do my own tuning,
Hmm.
which I learned throughout all the years using fountain pen to little by little
Yeah.
get that.
And you've taken some classes because you go to a lot of
Yeah, I took a class that is called the nib anatomy, which was a basic learning uh, to how to see the nib and then how to evaluate the alignment and stuff like that. That helped me a lot. But my learning comes from Lenny. Lenny is one of my friends. He taught me how to floss the pen, how to sand the pen. I created my own grinding in some of my uh, kokuno kokuno
oh,
pens.
Kakunos are great for sketching, by the way.
Yes,
All
I
right,
have Lamy for sketching.
so Kari, there's a question. What is the first pen nib that made you go, "Wow, this is a great writer"? Do you
Uh,
have that pen that you
I
can
like
think of?
depending on the project that I'm doing. I like flex nibs. I am attached with the calligraphy pens, and I find that the flex makes my handwriting looks more beautiful. That's why I tend to get nibs that are soft and they flex a little bit. I do love juicy ink. So flex nibs are great. Stab nibs are fantastic. I think those are my favorite grinds.
But
Uh,
was there like a pen that you got, I don't know, in 2010 or something, when you picked it up and you're like, wow, this is something new? I
oh,
really, like, I know you got, what did you have? Did you have a Visconti?
yeah, that I got in 2008. That is, it was perfect out of the box. It was a medium nib. So now I'm writing with that. That pen was like, oh, wow, that pen writes amazing. Uh, I think I moved away from the medium nibs a long time ago.
Mm,
During that time, I used to have like a lot of writing in my notebooks, and most of the notebooks that I kept during that time were lined notebooks. So the medium nib was perfect. But now that I'm transitioned to either dot grid or a blank paper, I'm using broad nibs, stab nibs, very, very juicy nibs. I have a nib grinded by Kurt Spears, which is a Tanto nib. Oh my goodness, that nib is
mm.
to die for.
Yeah, I have Imperial grind medium,
Ooh,
which is wonderful. He does that. It's one of his specialties. It's great.
journalers grind is perfect too. I like all. I don't have. Let's say if I am doing my productivity journal, I write with an extra fine and fine. And you say like, why do you write with an extra fine in the? Because the spaces that I have sometimes are so tiny and so many things to write, and I preset the days in advance, so that's a disadvantage. I should have kept it in the bullet journal format, which I don't do anymore. I like to decorate in advance. So the space is little, so I write tiny, and I need a smaller nib, so I use extra fine or fine.
I'll need my pen case for commentary. But okay, so William says that everyone talks bad about QC, the quality control of Visconti, which he has
Yeah.
had problems with. I assume you have
The
either.
one that I bought, it was before Visconti was bought. So my model it's a model by Dante. So
Mhm.
Dante Del Vecchio was the one that designed the pen that I have. So it's a pre Visconti era, and
But
when the quality was top notch.
talking about Dante, so the interesting part that I found, also talking about quality control, because as you guys know, Dante went on for Pineider, working for
Yeah,
Pineider. And I have a Pineider and I've had no problems with it, but so many people have had,
yeah,
problems with their pens, which is the same thing. And I feel like,
yeah.
I'm lucky.
You're lucky. It's I always say the same thing about the Visconti. I adore my Visconti so so much, and it writes out of the box. And now it keeps writing. It's ink all the time. I use it, and it never dries out. That's fantastic quality. I never had issues, and I see all these comments of people that talk bad about Visconti and the bad quality and the backlash that they received during like probably COVID time. It was terrible, and
Hmm.
I was like, I cannot say the same thing because I am one of those pens that worked.
I think that's a good idea. I think maybe, there was a lot of quality control also connected to that, just that people worked in the weird way during pandemic,
Yeah.
and making nibs, you have to be probably in the same room with people. You make nib and then someone else tests it,
Yeah.
whatever. It's a slightly different thing. You can't quite do it over Zoom, I would imagine. That
Oh yeah.
so it could be connected to that or, whatever. We don't know. There is a comment that I really like. So Kirk just
Oh,
found me an architect and it's
architect.
perfect.
Yes.
And I have a Santini's special nib.
Santini.
So I got this some time ago. And this is an architect with reversed broad, uh,
Ooh.
which apparently is great for sketching. I have not put that to use, but it's a great writer.
Yeah. I should have showed the Santini that I have. Santini nibs are incredible. They are made in house. He actually punches the gold and shape the nib. Every nib is a different nib. When you buy a pen, you have to try all the pens so you know which ones you like, and then he will allow you to touch. I met Giovanni in person 2 years on a row at DC Pen Show, and I was like, it's too expensive, but I will get the cheapest one because I know the nibs, they go well with all the models. So I say, let's get that one. I don't regret what I paid for that pen because it's a great writer. And the flexibility of the nib is insane. So
Mm.
it's almost like a vintage pen, I will say.
So wait, did you have their super flexi or they have
Super flexy.
super, yeah, oh that one, yeah.
That one.
I've heard things.
Architect Grind is very cool. Can you highlight? Yes, please.
Yes, there we go. Yeah, so if someone is not familiar, Esterbrook does a lot of wonderful nibs. So they employ skills of so many nib grinders, and it's just a trip testing all of them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so fantastic. Then there is also William mentioned about Diplomat. Diplomat is a brand that I totally support because they write so well. They have steel nib. They are inside the parallel, the parallel pilot. They are inside the more affordable, I would say. Pens is not like they are not. They are expensive, but not as expensive as Santini or Visconti. And they write so well. I do have a parallel, and let me show you. It's inked. I use it for art purposes and calligraphy, and it's in my pencil case
Mm,
all the time. Ta-da!
nice.
And I have it with red ink at the moment. Almost done with the ink,
Nice.
but I was using it for a mini project that I had with my red.
All right. So, yeah, back to architect. It can definitely give you a lot of different variations. So, that's
Mhm.
another thing that, I brought up Santini. I think that's why I appreciate with nibs like what they do. And to be clear, very few companies still do what they do. So, hand
Mhm.
their own nibs. And that's the beauty of it. There is so much to choose from. Also, because they bought an existing company that was out of business
Yeah,
and restarted and created their own company. So they had a machine that was producing nibs since what a probably 1920s or something like
yeah,
that. So it's just the amount of variation that you could get with older nibs.
yeah. I
To
agree.
me, translates into what they do, which I appreciate.
Mhm.
And I think that's the beauty in this hobby in general. The fountain pens,
Yeah.
there is no comparison with rollerball or other
No,
pens
I agree.
that
Yeah.
are beautiful.
There is a comment that says the diplomat was bad out of the box.
Oh, really? I
I'm
I
so
own zero
sorry.
diplomats.
Mine wrote well.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I
Is
was
it the
lucky.
is it the German company?
It
That's
is,
unusual. Germans
yeah.
have great quality control.
But there is always that nib that
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah. I guess they're not Pelican. Pelican has remarkable just quality, I feel like, across the board,
Yeah.
right? I've never had any problem.
Yeah. Well, I only have one pelican, and that is it because it was so expensive. I was like, no, I could buy like three other pens with the same money.
Which one do you have?
I have the 800.
Ooh, that's what I
So
have.
it's a Sovereign. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you tested 1000? Do you want
It was too big,
1000?
the nib, like you jump from the 800 to the 1000, the nib size jumps really, really high. So I didn't like that. So between the 600 and the 400, and I tried all of those ones, I found the 400 too small for me.
Mm-hmm.
The 6 and the 8, they were almost like the 600 too close to the 400. So I say, my perfect size is the M and 800. So that's why the one that I got. But the price was really high compared to the other ones. Oh, I was like, oh my God, all this money that I spent.
Well, my question is because I've been considering maybe for one day. When you were at the Santini table, did you get a chance to test several nibs? And have you tested
I
their big one?
did.
How'd you
They
like?
have a tester point, so you can dip and then test. That
Mhm,
was fantastic, and I got the chance to test the bigger ones, and they were
mhm.
super nice. But I wanted a medium flexi, so I wanted a pen that will write small and tiny. But then, when you create this line variation, it will show the difference.
Nice, nice. All right, so people are on the Pelicans these days.
Oh, Pelican Hub is huge here in Montreal.
Yeah, I yet have to go too, so you're not the only.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
hopefully,
So
I think
there is,
registration
let me
starts
tell you,
soon.
let me tell
Mhm.
you the story at the Pelican Hub really, really quick. You know, my eclectic collection. I have black pens, but I also have glittery pens. And Benu, I love Benu pens so much because they're colorful, glitter and stuff. I go to the Pelican Hub and there are these hardcore Pelican collectors. And they were like, I don't, oh, what is it? What is that? And I say, I do have Pelican. Let me show you my Pelicans. And anyway, but they were like, they didn't want to see other pens. They didn't want to talk about
Well,
other
here's
pens.
the
And I was like,
question.
what type of snob person will not share a
And if
conversation about
someone
other
who's
pens?
listening has an experience with Pelican Club, please correct me. But what I've heard is that even if you don't have pelicans, they encourage you to bring any pen, right? Is
Yeah, you can bring any pen. The majority of the people over there had other pens than Pelican, but they were this hardcore group that they were like, this is my collection. Oh, I don't like glittery pens. Like I don't like that. And I
oh,
was like, okay, I do own black pens, but I like the glittery pens more than the black pen. If I have let's say, a Pelican nib, which I adore, um, in a different body of pen, I will be happier. Why
and
not?
I've
I
seen
am
that. Yeah,
honest.
there are a couple of companies that do that. They buy pelican nibs and then they kind of make the body different.
Frankenpens.
Yeah, franking pens. I love it. I think that's so inventive.
Exactly. I have my Frankenpens. I buy bodies of pen makers sometimes when the nib I don't like, and I put Caveco nibs or I put other nibs that I like.
Oh, 580. I think that is
Oh,
one of those one-off pens that is
yes.
made.
Amy. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, hi, Amy.
Amy's here. Yeah, everybody
Yay.
has lots of pen that were not Pelican, but that little table, it was like, don't show me anything but Pelican. Uh, but um, howdy, Amy.
Hello. Thank you for joining.
Yeah. And now I didn't actually show you the Tasha, but Tasha pens, I'm obsessed with
That's
it.
your love.
Oh,
So before we switch to your fancy pants, my last question about the Pelican Hub. So when one goes registers, you need to register for it,
yeah.
and then you go to a meetup place. You get to meet people. You get to see people who are crazy about pelicans only, but you also get to meet people who have other pens.
Yeah,
So
and also meet people that don't know anything about fountain pens too, which is great because they learn a lot during the meeting.
and then at the end of the event, it's either given or you buy like a special event ink. Is that correct?
You receive for
Oh,
free the
oh,
special ink.
incentives.
Expensive, but the best part about registering is that every single person that goes to the Pelican Hub will get the ink and it will get the pad of the Pelican Hub.
All right. There's invitation for the Miami Pen Show.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to go. When is it, Amy? When is it the Miami?
Miami Pen Show somewhere in the July, she says. Oh my, it's
Oh,
pretty hot. July. Another one I was considering of going is the Portland. They finally got
oh,
the venue. They've posted about it. So okay, so mid-July. Then that means it's
mid-July. Okay,
after
it's really close to
Portland.
the DC Pen show, and because I am going to DC Pen show, I don't want to do too many shows back to back.
Hmm.
So the only ones that I'm going to do back to back, because one is in my area, is Chicago Pen Show and Montreal Pen Show. Montreal because it's in my area, and Chicago because I already booked for that for that event. But yeah, peak
Yeah,
summer weather in Florida.
yeah. It's you get the full night of Florida in July. There you go.
I will probably melt with the Canadian skin. The Canadian uh got so used to the cold weather that I forgot how it feels hot weather.
Yeah, listen, so we went to I'm in North California, so our climate is all over the board here. We have microclimates. And then I think 2 years ago, middle of July, I went to a conference in Sacramento. We could not exist there like normally. You had to, your life was either very late in the evening when it's not hot, or very early in the morning when it's not
Okay.
yet hot.
And then after you melt.
Yeah, and then you can't. Yeah, you stay indoors.
You have to stay indoors. Yeah, I will agree with Amy. We go indoors. We go to the AC. We stay inside, fresh and cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's why summer in Boca is why I moved to Los
There we
Angeles,
go.
all the way to the other coast.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right. So anyone here is going to Portland, because I have to convince myself to go there. I am
you need
curious.
to go.
I want to go because I've heard it's a smaller show. So I'm definitely going to San Francisco, but that's a huge show.
Yeah.
So I want, to enjoy myself first, which means I want to go to a small show before.
You need to warm up.
I need to warm up. I want to actually talk to people without getting up at 5 a.m., which will be San Francisco, I think. So if you've been to DC, I understand it's pretty crazy. The same way, kind of similar, right? So
Yeah,
if
I
someone's
agree.
going to Portland, hit me up. I'm interested in your
Yeah.
opinion.
How far is Portland from you? Like, is it the driving distance or you need to book a flight?
So I have two options. I can either take a flight, which will be very pleasant, and I think it's very short. It's like an hour and a half. Or, which is more interesting for me, I take a train, an overnight train, and then in the morning you are in Portland.
Mm.
So I think it's beautiful. It's like one of those scenic coastal trains. So you take like that beautiful ride, and you have like, you look outside and it's nice, and you can sketch the scenery, stuff like.
Ooh, beautiful.
Yep. All right.
There are several comments. Oh, and Delirium Inks. I wish I can get the ink of the show.
Yeah, because they're local, I think, right?
Yeah.
To Florida.
I have many of their inks and they are beautiful. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Because Los Angeles is a smaller, it's a California pen show. It's a slightly smaller, supposedly.
Yeah. But sometimes it's not about how small it is the show, it's how tight. So, for example, if the venue is really crowded and the venue is small, you will get a lot of amount of people at the same time in the same spot. So
Mhm.
that gets the show super overwhelming.
Mhm.
But if you get, and I always recommend people to do this, go for the weekend, get the full pass, and you get access
Mm.
early in the morning, 1 hour at least before anybody goes in. The traders can go in without anybody bothering. And then they get the opportunity to participate in the pre-show. So that means that the Friday or the Thursday, depending on when the show starts, you get to go when nobody's there. Well, nobody. There is a lot of people, but not like the day that they open for the public. So
That duly
yeah,
noted.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a
sensory
bit of an
overload. I
overload.
agree.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, I'm used to
All
working with
right.
people, so as a teacher, I'm used to these crowded places. But at the end of the day, the fatigue is like, oh my god, the drain you
Because
feel.
mm-hmm.
But
you also
I
want to meet
enjoy.
everyone,
I
like you and
enjoy the
I.
social.
You and I have never met in person, so that would be an opportunity for you and I to meet, the pen
Yeah.
show. So there's so much people time. All right, Kari, do you
Oh, I
have a
don't.
Magna Carta?
Oh, that's in my list. I agree. I spoke with the Yoast from Applebaum, and they have this Magna Carta that is a limited edition, and he was like, "Oh, you need this one." Magna Carta for me is my next pen. I want to have a flex nib for them,
Nice.
from them. Sorry, and yeah, the weekend pass.
Hmm.
Yes.
And then apparently we should both meet in Miami. I don't know if I can handle Miami in July.
Okay, export me. If you take me, I will go. But
Portland might be a little bit more doable in July, but I don't know.
yeah,
I'm so curious. I've
you
never been.
can.
I would like to go to Portland.
Yeah. Oh, I would like to the West Coast eventually one day.
Yeah, it's too
Yeah.
close to your school on beginning though, so
Mm,
you never make it, right?
yeah. It's complicated. It's not easy to decide where to go, and even we fight with my family because I kind of took all these pen shows as a priority for me.
Hmm.
And sometimes when they are free, it coincides with these pen shows. And they are like, oh, not another pen show, you know? I should compromise at this point a little bit, but I don't want to.
All right, so there is Miami cannot handle us apparently.
Oh.
There we go. Well, there is another opportunity. I think Orlando Pen Show is in September. So that might be a little bit less hot, but
Mm,
probably still hot.
mm. I would love to go to Orlando
Yeah. Yes.
because I want to see other stuff in Orlando. I would like.
Miami has great food. That's what I've heard.
Oh, of course.
A
I
lot
think
of.
any country, any city in the world will have good food. As a person that enjoys food above anything else and pens, I think I will be going just to eat.
I think Miami has that great Cuban food that, oh,
Ooh,
yeah, I want to
arroz
try
con
that.
gris. Ah, so
Uh,
good.
yeah, so we get a lot of incentives of going to Florida,
Yeah.
don't
Well,
we?
we have to think about it. We have to we need to get, this is what I always say, if we really decide to go over there, we need a plan.
We need a
Because
plan.
we need a plan. um I will need to plan ahead of time. It's not like last minute I'm
Mhm.
taking a flight. No, I need to actually plan ahead, like a year ahead. As a
Yeah.
teacher, you know me, planning.
Yeah.
It's
So
not like
so
last minute.
so far, you have planned what? You've planned
I plan
Chicago.
already. So the circuit started with Philippine show, so I went to that one.
Hmm.
Then I have Chicago Pen Show in May, which is right after my semester. Then I have a Montreal Pen Show at the end of May. Then I'm going to have stationary show in Toronto.
Hmm.
Then I'm going to have DC Pen Show in August.
Oh, you're going.
Then I have Toronto Pen Show in October. And there is one more show that I would love to go, which is the Commonwealth Pen Show. I didn't book there, but I am in discussions with a friend because I want to go.
Oh, apparently there's a beautiful train from Fort Lauderdale to
Mm.
Miami. Oh, well,
That
so
would be
many
nice.
incentives. Yeah. Are you going to the Atlas sidewalk sale? Not.
Yeah, that one actually is really close to the, I think it's DC or something, or Toronto. I don't remember which of the other shows that I booked already. It doesn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. And then it's not like a pen show that you get a discount for the hotel.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
get nothing.
It's a store event.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
wish I
I'm not
could go.
going either, unfortunately.
Yeah. With the
Same.
pen shows, if you book in advance and you're lucky, you get the room for the price of the
Mhm.
show. And that is doable because if you're going to spend in pens also, plus the hotel,
Oh, we're getting shamed.
Alexandra will be disappointed.
Well,
Alexandra will enjoy because it's a very, I totally envy Alexandra that she's gonna go.
well, eventually I think she will meet both of us. I don't know if at the same time, but you know.
I met already Alexandra many.
But all three of us, I
Oh,
think
the three
we'll
of
have
us will need
to.
a meeting.
I think that has to be a plan for next year. Probably we
Okay,
need to
so Marina,
plan.
if you come to Montreal, I you can stay in my house.
Oh, thank you.
I will build you like a little living room area for you.
My own house in your house.
Uh, that would be fantastic.
All right, guys. You have any more questions? Latecomers. We were just talking about journaling,
Journaling.
and Kari had so many journals to show. I showed some of my little doodles and the way I keep my stuff. And then today I was walking. I picked up a lemon, sketched it, and had like my little outline of the day in the back.
That's so fantastic.
And sometimes that's enough for me.
Yeah,
So, you do what you want to do. There are no rules. You just have to
exactly.
enjoy it.
I didn't talk about the travel journaling, but every time I go to a pen show, I bring a travel journaling journal. I am now in the pocket size, but I have my regular size. Oh, I just made a mess. My regular size.
Ooh.
So these ones are the ones that actually go with me when I travel. I don't bring the other ones. I bring these ones. And let me show you how it looks. This one I didn't actually show, but it looks like a junk journal. So I
Mhm.
collect, for example, the cards of the restaurants that I visit, the ink that I swatch. You will see fountain pens that I try, and then kind of a memorabilia from the places that I visit, and the food that I have, and the beer and the wine. I don't drink beer, but my husband do, and sometimes the beer eh, label, I will save it.
Yeah, I've heard all about you and scotch tasting, or was it whiskey tasting? So,
I'm bad. The whiskey tasting was embarrassing. Uh,
oh, yeah,
well, I,
Claire is
I,
the one who is getting you in those situations, isn't she?
like I can go to a dinner and have a glass of wine, and that's it. And I enjoy myself there. But then this was a whiskey tasting, and they open like, you need to try this and you need to try that one. And I was like, okay, I tasted. Where do I put the rest? Boom, nothing. And then Claire, you need to drink this. I like the Passport Traveler's Notebook. Yay. I think Travelers, the passport size is perfect. You open it, you have like a little passport size, and then you can have like an entry really quick,
Mhm.
some ink swatches.
For some, it will be too small. For some, it will be just enough.
Yeah.
Some people go even smaller than you. They can go to like super tiny ones. Oh, you have it. There you go.
Just for comparison.
Oh God,
Ah,
1/4.
maximalist at 4. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, there are no rules.
there are no rules. Exactly. You said it. No rules for journaling, no rules for notebooks. I think I have too many notebooks at the same time. My plan is to finish some of those ones this year.
Mm.
um, so I can store those ones away because there is one, the Onion Skin Journal. I've been keeping that one for over 2 or 3 years so far. Let's see, because I have the date 2021, September.
Mm. Oh, wow. So, okay,
Um,
this brings me to my last question. And guys, ask questions before we finish. But my question is, how many in journals and when do you just find yourself starting and not finishing? Does it depend on the I don't know, the paper, for example, like onion skin? Maybe it's not your
yeah,
favorite, or it's just too many pages or something. Do you have a lot of those
yeah.
journals?
So I never started a journal that I didn't finish. So I had opportunities that I hated so much the paper that I ended up collaging on those pages, like
Mhm.
putting paper on top and writing on other papers and gluing the paper on it. But I will always finish the notebooks. If it is the agenda, of course, it finishes and done. But if it is a sketchbook or the onion skin paper, I will keep it until I, because this one I do art only in it. I don't journal. I don't do like a memory keeping in this one. I just try it for art. And I adore the feeling of the onion skin paper. Somebody asked, how do I like it? I like it.
It makes a sound too.
It's like the ASMR. It's so cool. So you get to do inks. You get, let me show you different things that I've done here.
Hmm. And don't let it fool you. You can see through it, but it handles things really well.
So there is no limit to the things that you can do in this type of journals. As as complicated or simple as you want to go. And then because it is onion skin paper, is so thin that you look like this notebook is thin, but it has so many pages. It never ends. So you get to write and write and write, never stopping.
Good value.
Yeah.
Coming
So
back.
this one was
Yeah.
in onion skin paper. What I do is I actually do sketches with ink, a permanent ink, or a Sakura Pigma Micron, and I put I paint on top, or vice versa. I put the ink, and then this one has like a shimmering.
Wow. Yeah, it holds things really well.
Yeah.
So, have you? I don't. I imagine it's not great for watercolor, though.
No, in this one I only tried inks.
Okay.
Watercolor. I'm new with watercolor. I started. I started trying watercolor with the urban sketching notebook. So the urban sketching notebook, the one that I started with the storefront for the patisserie, and then my second one was, um, what was the second one? Oh, I did a boulangerie, and then I did the stationery stores. That one, this one, it's a very high quality watercolor
Mhm.
paper,
Is that
and that,
Esther?
yes, Etchter.
Okay. Hmm.
Uh, when I started doing watercolor, and I said, if I start working with watercolor, I want it to be perfect, and I have so many other notebooks that are imperfect and such a mess. I do whatever, like I glue stuff, I paint with nail polish, I whatever. But this one, I wanted to be more mindful, and I wanted to be, this is going to have urban sketches and watercolor exploration.
Hmm.
So, and I am learning little by little. I'm studying the shapes of the buildings, a perspective that I didn't have any idea about. And now I am like, oh, the shape is off, the shadow is off,
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, watercolor is new for me. I felt 100% comfortable trying with ink, but it was not to sell my art. It was never to sell. It's just for me.
Yeah. Yeah, watercolor is complicated. I do find that gouache was what I gravitated towards in art school just because it felt so much easier than watercolor. But I
Mm,
think that is that you can do layering with watercolor. That is very special.
I like that. And then it behaves completely different than any other media that I tried.
Hmm.
So watercolor, it looks soft, but at the same time, you can have a depth when you do all these layers of color. And the technique is completely different than wash. I did wash before. You start with a light color,
Hmm.
and then you move to the darker color. And I like that. I like the and then sometimes the watercolor behaves so weirdly that it goes, if you do wet on wet, oh my god, you kind of feel clean.
Have you tried salt? You can also like do a little sprinkling
No,
of
I
salt
didn't try.
so
I
you get
didn't.
effect. Yeah, there's
Okay,
so
okay.
much you can do. It's fun.
You need to teach me.
Sure. All right, you
Oh, thank you,
guys.
William. Yes,
Last
thank you.
chance. If you guys want to ask anything, we're just gonna say goodbye in a few minutes, and
Yeah, I
just
just want to
having a
say
good
thank
time.
you. Thank you for the people that connected and participated actually in the chat. It was so much fun. And Marina, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for having me. And connecting with you makes me happy. Let me tell
Oh,
you, I
you
run.
guys make me happy. You make me happy. And then Alexandra, if someone doesn't know, we have a show, all three of us.
Yeah,
So it's just great to have a community. I think both you and I have collected pens on and off, right, for a while since we've been using them since we were kids. But I personally never realized there was a community up until recently, that brings pen users together, which is
yeah.
very special.
Yeah, when it's a niche, it's such, everybody is kind of like learning about it. They meet in this kind of platforms, Instagram or YouTube. And even though we are not many compared to other sorts of arts, or uh, fountain pen needs more support. We need
Hmm.
to get more people into fountain pens and analog hobbies. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Amy, thank you so much.
Yeah, Amy,
Yeah,
everybody.
we
Thank
are
you. Thank
happy to
you.
be here. I'm also
Yeah.
thinking of doing maybe Thursdays sometime. So
Yeah.
Wednesdays and Thursdays are probably the days for me for this
Mhm.
show.
And maybe if I get the support of your people, because this is your account, I would love to start doing more live connections in my account. And my
Absolutely.
schedule is super hectic, so I will need to announce in Instagram when am I going to be able to do it? When? I
Yeah, but
don't
something to
know.
look forward to. When you figure that out, maybe we can test, later, closer to the summer when you're done with school. And
Yeah.
Amy says, do it.
Yes.
And then we get a lot of love.
Oh my goodness. I'm I'm so happy for the interaction that we had.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for being here, for your support. This is only the second time I'm doing this. We finally started on time. Last time was a bit hectic, but
You did it. It
I
was
did it. Yeah,
so good.
there you go. See,
Yes.
live you doing drawings and me
Okay,
commenting,
let's do that.
someone else
Let's do that.
commenting.
Okay, so that's the next one. You know, it has to be at night because that's the time that I draw.
There you go. Then we'll
I
figure
open
out
my
a day.
journal and I draw.
Yeah, well, you'll have your setup where you draw, and then one of us, me or Alexandra, we can comment.
Yes, we can do the audio comment.
There you go. Commentary.
Commentary. You know what is hard? I will find it hard to draw and talk at the same time.
Yeah. And then, yes, if I do pottery, someone else can comment. There you go.
Oh, yes. We can have like both of us connected, and you kind of curate the messages and answer questions while
Right.
the other one is doing.
So many ideas, guys. Thank you so much for
Uh,
hanging out with us.
thank
All right.
you.
Bye.
Bye.